Captain Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the UES Goliath's Hammer, watching the stars through the massive viewing screen. The ship moved through space like a metal mountain, 15 kilometers long and packed with the most advanced technology humanity had ever built. Its dark hull reflected no light, making it nearly invisible against the black of space. This was supposed to be a simple patrol mission. The Goliath's Hammer was testing its new systems in unexplored space, far beyond the borders of human territory. Hyun-woo had commanded smaller ships before, but nothing like this Titan-class battleship. The bridge alone was larger than most space stations he had served on. "Captain," said Communications Officer Yoonbi from her station. Her voice carried a note of excitement. "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings on long-range sensors." Hyun-woo walked over to her station. The young officer had been monitoring space for signs of anything interesting during their patrol. So far, they had found nothing but empty systems and dead rocks floating in the void. "What kind of energy readings?" he asked. Yoonbi pointed to her screen. Strange patterns flowed across the display in colors that seemed almost alive. "These don't match any natural phenomena in our databases. The patterns are too regular, too organized. I think they might be artificial." Chief Science Officer Taemin looked up from his own console. He was a thin man with sharp eyes who had spent most of his life studying unknown things. "Captain, if Yoonbi is right, this could be our first contact with non-human technology." The bridge became quiet. Every crew member knew what first contact meant. Humanity had been searching for other intelligent life for centuries. They had found planets that once held life, ruins of ancient civilizations, but never anything still active. "How far away are these readings?" Hyun-woo asked. "Approximately 6 hours at current speed," Yoonbi replied. "The source appears to be massive, possibly artificial structures in orbit around a gas giant." Hyun-woo considered his options. His orders were to explore and report anything unusual. This definitely counted as unusual, but first contact protocols required careful preparation. "Taemin, start analyzing everything we can detect from this distance. I want to know what we're dealing with before we get closer." "Yoonbi, begin monitoring all frequencies for any form of communication." The next few hours passed slowly. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, preparing for what might be the most important moment in human history. Weapons Officer Dong-hyun ran diagnostics on the ship's defensive systems, not because he expected trouble, but because regulations required it. As they drew closer, the readings became clearer. Taemin called Hyun-woo to his station with barely contained excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," Taemin said. His screen showed a three-dimensional image of what they were approaching. "It's definitely artificial. A space station, possibly multiple structures connected together. The energy output suggests a significant population." Hyun-woo studied the image. The structures were unlike anything humans had built. They seemed to grow rather than be constructed, with flowing lines and organic curves. But the technology readings were what surprised him most. "What's your assessment of their technological level?" he asked. Taemin hesitated. "That's the strange part, sir. Based on their energy signatures and construction methods, I'd estimate they're approximately 200 years behind our current technology. Their fusion reactors are less efficient than ours, their materials science appears limited, and their gravity manipulation is practically non-existent." This was unexpected. Humanity had always assumed that any alien civilization they encountered would be more advanced. The galaxy was old, and humans had only achieved space flight recently compared to cosmic timescales. "Could you be wrong about their technological level?" Hyunwoo asked. It's possible, but unlikely. Our sensors are quite advanced. If anything, I might be overestimating their capabilities. Medical Officer So Young joined them at the science station. She was responsible for studying any alien life forms they might encounter. If they're less advanced than us, we need to be very careful about how we approach them. First contact could be traumatic for a less developed civilization. Hyunwoo nodded. Human first contact protocols had been written assuming they would be the less advanced species. This situation was the opposite of what planners had expected. Sir, called Yunbi, I'm detecting what might be communication signals from the station. They're using radio frequencies, very basic compared to our quantum communication systems. Can you understand anything? Not yet, but I'm recording everything. The patterns suggest mathematical sequences, possibly attempts at establishing basic communication protocols. Hyunwoo made his decision. All stations, prepare for first contact procedures. Taemin, I want continuous analysis of their technology. Yunbi, see if you can establish basic mathematical communication. Donghyun, keep weapons powered down but ready. I don't want to appear threatening. The Goliath's hammer continued its approach. As they drew nearer, more details became visible. The alien station was impressive in its own way, consisting of multiple spherical sections connected by tubes and surrounded by smaller structures. Ships moved between the sections, their designs as organic-looking as the station itself. Captain, said Navigation Officer Hae-won, they've detected us. Several of their ships are changing course in our direction. Are they taking aggressive positions? No, sir. They appear to be maintaining distance but observing. Their movement patterns suggest curiosity rather than hostility. So Young studied the biological readings Taemin was gathering from the station. I'm detecting multiple different life signs. This isn't just one species. There are at least 5 distinct biological patterns among the inhabitants. This added another layer of complexity. They weren't dealing with a single alien race, but apparently some kind of multi-species coalition or alliance. Intelligence Officer Kyung-ho had been quietly monitoring all electronic emissions from the station. Captain, based on their communication patterns and the organization of their activities, this appears to be some kind of border or monitoring station. They seem to be as surprised to see us as we are to see them. Hyunwoo considered this information. A border station suggested a larger civilization beyond, possibly spanning multiple star systems. But if their technology was truly less advanced than humanity's, what did that mean for the balance of power in this region of space? Sir, Yunbi reported, I've managed to establish basic mathematical communication. They're responding to prime number sequences and basic geometric shapes. They definitely understand we're trying to communicate. Excellent. Begin working on more complex concepts. See if you can establish basic peaceful intentions. As the hours passed, the situation became clearer. The aliens were indeed less technologically advanced than humanity, but they possessed something humans lacked: established interstellar civilization. They had been traveling between stars for thousands of years, while humans had only recently mastered faster-than-light travel. Taemin brought Hyunwoo a troubling analysis. Captain, based on what I'm seeing, these aliens achieved spaceflight long before humans existed as a species. Yet their technology has advanced very slowly compared to human development. We've accomplished in 3 centuries what took them millennia. This raised important questions about human development and their place in the galaxy. Were humans unusually fast at technological advancement, or had these aliens faced some limitation that slowed their progress? Sir, called Tactical Officer Bong-su, I've completed analysis of the alien ships. Their weapons and defensive systems appear to be plasma-based, with limited range and power compared to our capabilities. If this is representative of their military technology. He didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone on the bridge understood the implications. Humanity had stumbled upon an alien civilization that, despite being older and more established, was significantly less advanced militarily. Yunwu looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were about to make first contact with alien intelligence, but not in the way anyone had imagined. Instead of being the primitive species reaching out to advanced aliens, they found themselves in the position of overwhelming technological superiority. The responsibilities that came with such power would test everything humanity believed about itself and its place among the stars. Station Commander Velnathi adjusted her crystalline form in the command chair, her translucent blue body reflecting the lights of the monitoring station's bridge. The Kethmar Deep Space Monitoring Station Veltara had been her home for 15 cycles, watching the empty void between their territory and unexplored space. Nothing interesting had happened in all that time. Until today. "Commander," called sensor operator Hicksnall, his 4 arms working frantically over his console. The insectoid Threxvi was known for staying calm under pressure, but his voice carried obvious stress. "The gravitational disturbance is getting stronger. Whatever is approaching us is massive." Velnathi flowed from her chair to the central display. Her species, the Zephyrians, could reshape their crystalline bodies at will, allowing her to interface directly with the station's computers. As she touched the display, data flowed into her consciousness. What she saw made no sense. "This cannot be correct," she said, her voice creating harmonic tones that resonated through the bridge. "Show me the readings again." Security Chief Mortal stomped across the bridge, his heavy footsteps echoing in the metal corridors. The Herexvian warrior stood 3 meters tall, with thick armor plates covering his reptilian skin. His species had evolved for combat, and he trusted his instincts above all technology. "The sensors show something big coming our way," Mordal growled, his deep voice making the air vibrate. "But our scanners cannot get clear readings. It's like the thing is hiding from us. Science." Advisor Quilin drifted closer to the group, her ethereal form barely visible in normal light. The Nexkari existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions beyond physical reality. They could perceive things others could not, making them valuable advisors. "The disturbance is not natural," Quilin whispered, her voice seeming to come from everywhere at once. "I sense intelligence behind it, purpose and design beyond our understanding." Velnathi processed this information with growing concern. In 3,000 years of spaceflight, the Kethmar Confederation had encountered many species and technologies. They prided themselves on their advanced sensors and scientific understanding. For something to hide from their equipment was deeply troubling. "Could it be a new weapon from the hegemony?" asked Communications Officer Yardun. The small, furry Plexani species had excellent hearing and handled all outside communications for the station. Mordal shook his massive head. "The hegemony uses different technology. Their ships leave energy trails we can follow. This is something else entirely." Velnathi made a decision. "Send an immediate priority alert to the Confederation Council. Tell them we have detected an unknown vessel of unprecedented size using stealth technology beyond our current understanding." As Yardun worked to send the message, Hicksnall continued monitoring the approaching object. His readings became more disturbing with each passing moment. "Commander, I'm getting partial readings now. The object appears to be 15,000 meters in length." The bridge fell silent. The largest ships in the Confederation fleet were barely 3,000 meters long. Even the massive fortress ships of their enemies were smaller than what was approaching. "That's impossible," said Chief Engineer Vex Mora, speaking for the first time since the crisis began. The Korthani female was responsible for maintaining the station's technology. No known material could support a structure that large in space. It would collapse under its own mass. Quilin's ethereal form shimmered with agitation. "I sense technologies at work that we do not possess. Gravity, manipulation, space-time distortion, energy fields that bend reality itself." Velnathi felt fear creeping through her crystalline matrix. The Confederation had been the dominant power in this region of space for centuries. Their technology was advanced, their military strong, their knowledge vast. The idea that something existed beyond their understanding challenged everything they believed about their place in the universe. "Commander," Yardun reported, "I'm receiving a response from the Council. They want continuous updates and are dispatching a fleet to our position." "How long until the fleet arrives?" 12 hours at maximum speed." Velnathi looked at the approaching object's projected course. It would reach them in 6 hours. Whatever was coming would arrive long before help could reach them. Mordal checked his weapon systems for the third time in an hour. The station's defensive systems were designed to handle raiders and small attack fleets, not something the size of a small moon. "Commander, our weapons would be useless against something that large. We should evacuate the station." "No," Velnathi said firmly. "Our duty is to monitor and report. If this is first contact with an unknown species, we need to document everything. The information could be vital to the Confederation's survival." Science Advisor Quilin drifted closer to the main display, her form becoming more solid as she concentrated. "I am detecting something else. The vessel contains life forms, but they are unlike anything in our databases. The energy patterns suggest high intelligence and sophisticated technology." This news spread quickly through the station. Word of an unknown alien species approaching their position created both excitement and terror among the crew. Some saw it as the discovery of a lifetime, others as a potential threat to everything they knew. Engineer Vex Zamora worked frantically to improve their sensor readings. "I'm boosting power to the main array. Maybe we can get better readings of their technology." The results were not encouraging. Even with maximum power, their sensors could only provide fragments of information about the approaching vessel. Whatever stealth technology it used was far beyond anything in Confederation databases. "Commander," Hicksnall called out, his voice tight with stress. "The object is slowing down. It's going to stop just outside weapons range." Velnathi felt a chill run through her crystalline form. The unknown vessel knew exactly where their weapons could reach. It demonstrated intelligence-gathering capabilities that surpassed their own. "They've been scanning us," she realized. "Probably since before we detected them. They know everything about our station, our weapons, our crew." Mordal's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon. "If they wanted to attack us, they could have done it already. The fact that they're stopping suggests they might want to communicate." Quilin's ethereal form pulsed with energy. "I sense curiosity from the vessel, not hostility. But there is something else. Power beyond measure, capabilities that dwarf our own." The crew of Veltara Station watched their displays as the massive unknown vessel came to a complete stop. It hung in space like a dark mountain, its size making their station seem like a tiny insect by comparison. "Commander," Yardun reported quietly, "I'm detecting electromagnetic emissions from the vessel. It appears to be scanning us with multiple Types of sensors. Are they trying to communicate? Not yet, but I'm monitoring all frequencies in case they attempt contact. Velnathi made another command decision. Begin broadcasting standard first contact protocols on all frequencies, mathematical sequences, prime numbers, basic universal concepts. As they waited for a response, tension filled the station. Everyone understood they were participants in a historic moment. The first contact between the Confederation and an unknown species would change everything, regardless of the outcome. Hours passed in tense silence. The unknown vessel continued its scans but made no attempt at communication. Velnathi began to wonder if the aliens were even aware that the station contained intelligent life. Then suddenly, Yardoon's console lit up with activity. "Commander, I'm receiving a response. They're broadcasting mathematical sequences back to us, but the complexity is far beyond what we sent them. These calculations would take our best computers days to complete." Velnathi studied the incoming data. The mathematical concepts being transmitted demonstrated understanding of physics and mathematics at levels the Confederation had never achieved. Whoever was aboard that vessel possessed knowledge that made their greatest scientists look like children. "They're showing us what they're capable of," she realized. "This isn't just communication. It's a demonstration of intelligence far beyond our own." The implications hit everyone on the bridge simultaneously. They weren't just dealing with an unknown species. They were facing beings whose intellectual capabilities surpassed anything in known space. As if reading their thoughts, the unknown vessel began another transmission. This time, the mathematical concepts were so advanced that their computers couldn't even process them properly. Velnathi knew that everything had changed. The Confederation's position as a dominant galactic power had just been challenged by the mere presence of this single vessel. Whatever happened next would determine the future of every species in known space. Lieutenant Ji-Hai stared at her console, watching streams of mathematical data flow across her screen. As the Goliath's Hammer's xenolinguist, she had spent years preparing for this moment, first contact with an alien intelligence. But nothing in her training had prepared her for the reality of trying to communicate with multiple unknown species simultaneously. "Captain," she called to Hyunwoo, who stood behind her watching the data streams. "I've established basic mathematical communication. They understand prime numbers, geometric relationships, and basic physics concepts. I think I can begin attempting more complex exchanges." Hyunwoo nodded. "Proceed carefully. We want to appear peaceful, but not weak." Ji-Hai began transmitting more complex mathematical sequences, building toward basic concepts like time, distance, and energy. The response came quickly, faster than she had expected. The aliens were not only understanding her transmissions, but expanding on them with mathematical concepts she had never seen before. "Sir, they're showing us mathematical principles that our best scientists haven't discovered yet. Their understanding of quantum mechanics appears to be centuries ahead of ours." At the science station, Taemin looked up with confusion. "That can't be right. Our sensor readings clearly show their technology is less advanced than ours." "Maybe they understand the theory but can't build the technology," suggested So-Young from her medical station. "Some civilizations might develop scientific knowledge without being able to apply it practically." Ji-Hai continued working on the communication protocols. After several hours, she achieved a breakthrough. "Captain, I've established basic conceptual communication. I can transmit simple ideas like peace, friendship, and identification. Send peaceful greetings and identify our ship as representing humanity." Hyunwoo ordered. The response came quickly. The aliens identified themselves as representatives of something called the Kethmar Confederation, a coalition of 12 different species. They expressed surprise that humans had achieved faster-than-light travel so recently, having monitored primitive radio signals from Earth just a few centuries ago. "They've been watching us," Ji-Hai reported. "According to their messages, they detected our early radio transmissions and assumed we were a pre-spaceflight civilization. This revelation sent ripples of unease through the bridge crew. The aliens had known about humanity for centuries, but had never made contact. It suggested a policy of watching primitive species without intervention. Weapons Officer Dong Hyun ran discreet scans of the alien station while the communication continued. His findings were troubling for entirely different reasons. "Captain, I've completed analysis of their defensive systems. Their shields couldn't stop our point defense weapons, and their hull materials would be penetrated by our small arms fire." The contrast between the aliens' theoretical knowledge and practical capabilities was becoming more apparent. They understood advanced physics, but couldn't build technology to match their understanding. Medical Officer So Young was monitoring biological readings from the station, analyzing the different life forms aboard. "I'm detecting stress indicators from multiple species. Their heart rates, or equivalent biological functions, are elevated. They're afraid." Hyunwoo considered this information. The aliens were intelligent enough to understand the implications of humanity's technological superiority, even if they couldn't directly measure it. "Ji-Hai, try to communicate that we come in peace and have no hostile intentions. Make it clear. We want to establish friendly relations." As Ji-Hai worked on transmitting these concepts, Taemin made a disturbing discovery. "Captain, I've been analyzing their cultural and technological development patterns based on their communications. It appears they've been spacefaring for over 3,000 Earth years." The bridge fell silent. Humanity had achieved interstellar flight in less than 3 centuries, progressing from primitive agriculture to faster-than-light travel in what was essentially an instant by galactic standards. "How is that possible?" asked So Young. "If they've had 3,000 years to develop, how are they less advanced than us?" "It could be cultural," suggested Intelligence Officer Kyung-ho. "Some civilizations might develop slowly due to social factors, lack of competition, or different approaches to scientific advancement." The communication with the aliens continued, and more information emerged. The Kethmar Confederation controlled hundreds of star systems and included billions of individuals from 12 different species. They had established trade networks, scientific institutions, and military forces spanning vast regions of space. Yet all of this galactic civilization was built with technology that humanity had surpassed decades ago. "Captain," Ji-Hai reported, "they're asking about our territorial extent and technological capabilities. I think they're trying to assess whether we represent a threat to their confederation." Hyun-woo made a careful decision. "Tell them we represent a peaceful scientific mission from the Terran Republic. Don't specify our territorial size or military capabilities yet." As the conversation progressed, the aliens shared more information about their civilization. They described a galaxy filled with various species and coalitions, ancient trade routes, and established political systems. Humanity had stumbled into a region of space that had been politically stable for millennia. Navigation Officer Hai Wan studied the star charts the aliens were transmitting. "Captain, according to their maps, we're on the border between 2 major galactic powers. The Kethmar Confederation controls this region, but there's another coalition called the Hegemony of Ascending Suns that controls territory in the opposite direction. The political implications were staggering. Humanity had been expanding outward, from Earth, establishing colonies and research stations without realizing they were approaching established alien territories. "Sir," called Tactical Officer Bong Su, "I'm detecting multiple ships approaching our position. The aliens appear to have called for reinforcements." Dong Hyun checked his weapon status. "Should I prepare defensive measures?" "No," Hyun-woo said firmly. "Keep weapons powered down. We don't want to escalate the situation." Through the communication link, the aliens explained that a fleet was approaching to investigate the first contact situation. They assured the humans that the fleet's intentions were peaceful, but their stress indicators suggested they were preparing for potential conflict. So Young continued monitoring the biological readings from the alien station. "Captain, I'm detecting what appears to be panic among some of the alien crew members. Their stress levels are off the charts." Ji-Hai received more detailed communication from the station. "Sir, they're asking direct questions about our ship's capabilities. They want to know how we achieved stealth technology that can hide from their sensors. What should I tell them?" Hyun-woo considered the question carefully. Revealing too much about human technology might provoke fear or aggressive responses, but being too secretive might also create suspicion. "Tell them our stealth systems are standard for exploration vessels. Don't elaborate on the specifics." The alien response came quickly, and Ji-Hai's expression grew concerned as she translated it. "Captain, they're having trouble believing that stealth technology this advanced is standard for us. They're asking what our military vessels are capable of if this is just an exploration ship." The question highlighted the growing realization on both sides that this first contact was revealing a massive imbalance in technological capabilities. The aliens were beginning to understand that humanity represented something unprecedented in their galactic experience. Tae-min had been analyzing the cultural information transmitted by the aliens. "Captain, based on their historical data, technological advancement in this region of space has been very slow and gradual. Most species took thousands of years to develop faster than light travel. Our rapid advancement appears to be completely outside their experience. They're trying to understand how we could develop so quickly," Ji-Hai added. "Their messages suggest they're having difficulty accepting that a species could progress from radio communication to advanced spaceflight in just a few centuries." The approaching alien fleet was now visible on long-range sensors. 50 ships of various sizes were heading toward their position, led by what appeared to be a massive dreadnought. "Captain," reported Bong Su, "the alien fleet's weapons and defensive systems appear to be similar to the station's technology. Their most advanced ship couldn't damage our secondary armor plating." Hyun-woo realized they were facing a critical moment. The aliens were bringing their military forces to investigate humanity's presence, but those forces were hopelessly outmatched by a single human ship. How he handled the next few hours could determine the future relationship between humanity and the entire galactic community. The weight of representing his entire species in this first contact scenario was becoming overwhelming. Every decision could have consequences lasting for generations. Chief Engineer Woo Jin stood at his control station, monitoring the Goliath's hammer's systems while the tense first contact situation continued. The alien fleet was approaching, and he could sense the crew's growing anxiety about how to handle the situation without appearing threatening. "Captain," he called to Hyun-woo, "the aliens seem to be having difficulty understanding our technological capabilities. Perhaps a small demonstration would help establish clear communication about what we can and cannot do." Hyun-woo considered this suggestion. The alien messages continued to express doubt about human claims regarding their technology. They seemed to believe humans were exaggerating their capabilities, possibly as some form of bluffing or intimidation. Tactic? What kind of demonstration? Hyunwoo asked. Woo Jin smiled slightly. Something harmless but clearly beyond their technological reach. Our gravitational field manipulators, for instance. We could arrange some of the local asteroids into an orderly pattern. Taemin looked up from his science station. That would certainly demonstrate capabilities they don't possess. According to their communications, they've never achieved practical gravity manipulation. The idea had merit. A demonstration of gravitational control would be impressive but clearly non-threatening. It would also establish humanity's technological superiority without displaying weapons or defensive systems. Do it, Hyunwoo decided. Make it obvious, but peaceful. Woo Jin activated the ship's gravitational field generators, systems that allowed the massive vessel to create artificial gravity throughout its structure. But these same systems could be used externally, manipulating gravity fields in nearby space. Within minutes, 12 large asteroids that had been floating randomly near the alien station began moving into perfect formation. They arranged themselves in a precise geometric pattern, orbiting around each other in mathematically perfect circles. The display was beautiful and obviously artificial. The response from the alien station was immediate and dramatic. Communication. Traffic spiked as they tried to understand what they were witnessing. Their sensors detected no beam weapons, no tractor technology, no rockets or thrusters moving the asteroids. The rocks simply began obeying new laws of physics. Ji-Hai translated. The incoming messages with growing amazement. Captain, they're completely stunned. Their scientists are saying this should be impossible according to their understanding of physics. What exactly are they saying? They want to know how we're controlling gravity itself. According to their transmissions, they've been trying to develop gravity manipulation technology for over 1,000 years without success. So Young monitored the biological readings from the station. The stress levels among their crew are spiking even higher. Some of them appear to be going into shock at what they're witnessing. The alien fleet that had been approaching slowed its advance. Through their communications, it became clear that the fleet commander was reassessing the situation based on the gravity demonstration. Woo Jin decided to expand the demonstration slightly. He adjusted the gravitational fields to make the asteroids dance in complex patterns, forming geometric shapes and mathematical symbols that corresponded to the equations Ji-Hai had been using for communication. This is incredible, Taemin observed. We're having a mathematical conversation using asteroids and gravity fields. The aliens' response revealed the true extent of their amazement. Their messages indicated that what they were witnessing was considered theoretically impossible by their greatest scientists. Gravity manipulation on this scale required energy levels and technological sophistication far beyond anything in their databases. Navigation Officer Hai-Wan had been quietly testing another human capability. Captain, should I demonstrate our precision faster-than-light capabilities as well? Hyunwoo nodded. Keep it subtle. Small jumps around the local area. Hai-Wan began a series of micro-jumps, moving the Goliath's hammer short distances around the alien station. Each jump was precisely calculated, appearing at exact coordinates with perfect timing. The massive ship would disappear from one location and instantly appear at another, covering distances that would take the aliens hours to traverse. The alien response to this demonstration was even more dramatic than their reaction to the gravity manipulation. Their communications revealed that such precision in faster-than-light travel was beyond their comprehension. Their own FTL technology was crude and imprecise, requiring hours of calculation for each jump. Intelligence Officer Kyung-ho was monitoring all electronic emissions from both the station and the approaching fleet. Captain, I'm intercepting communications between the station and their fleet command. They're describing our capabilities as impossible and requesting verification that their sensors are functioning correctly. The alien fleet had now stopped completely, maintaining a safe distance while their commanders tried to understand what they were facing. Through the communication link, the station's crew asked increasingly desperate questions about human technology. HFY worked to translate concepts that the aliens clearly struggled to accept. They want to know how long humanity has possessed gravity manipulation technology. When I told them it's been standard on our ships for over 50 years, they asked me to repeat the translation because they thought they misunderstood. What's their reaction to that information? They're having difficulty believing that we've had this technology for decades while they've never achieved it at all. It's challenging their understanding of technological development. Taemin analyzed the continuing stream of data from the alien station. Captain, based on their scientific discussions, they appear to have theoretical knowledge of advanced physics, but lack the engineering capability to build practical applications. This explained the contradiction between their advanced mathematical knowledge and primitive technology. The aliens understood the science, but couldn't translate that understanding into working technology. So Young noticed another change in the biological readings. The stress levels are stabilizing somewhat, but I'm detecting what appears to be despair among some crew members. I think the reality of our technological superiority is starting to sink in. The approaching alien fleet commander finally attempted direct communication with the human ship. Through HFY's translation, Admiral Zekthari of the Vrexelon species demanded to know humanity's intentions and territorial claims. The communication was formal and carried undertones of authority, but Kyung-ho detected uncertainty in the technical aspects of their transmission methods. "Captain," HFY reported, "the Admiral is demanding that we submit to Confederation authority and explain our presence in their space. But I'm also detecting what seems like desperation in the way the message is constructed." Hyun-woo considered his response carefully. The alien fleet commander was trying to assert authority, but clearly understood that his forces were completely outmatched. "Tell the Admiral that we are peaceful explorers from the Terran Republic. We seek friendly contact and mutual understanding. Make it clear that we have no territorial ambitions in this region." As HFY transmitted this response, Woo Jin continued monitoring the aliens' technological analysis of their demonstrations. "Captain, they're trying to understand our power generation systems. Their calculations suggest we would need the energy output of a small star to achieve what we've just demonstrated." "How much power are we actually using?" "Less than 5% of our normal operational capacity." This information highlighted just how far ahead human technology had advanced. What seemed impossible to the aliens was barely noticeable to human systems. The alien admiral's response came with increasing urgency. The formal demands were being replaced by more desperate attempts to understand humanity's capabilities and intentions. Tactical Officer Bong Su had been analyzing the alien fleets formation and capabilities. "Captain, their fleet is maintaining defensive positions, but their weapons are powered down. I think they realize they can't threaten us." The situation was becoming clearer. The aliens had called for military reinforcement to deal with the unknown human ship, but their forces were so technologically inferior that confrontation was impossible. "Sir?" HFY called. The Admiral is asking specific questions about our military capabilities. He wants to know if this ship represents standard human technology, or if we're some kind of advanced research vessel. This was the critical question. How Hyun-woo answered would determine whether the aliens saw humanity as a minor curiosity or a major galactic power. Tell him this is a standard exploration vessel of the Terran Republic fleet. Don't elaborate beyond that. The response to this information was immediate panic among the alien fleet. If what they were witnessing represented standard human technology, then humanity's military capabilities were beyond their ability to comprehend or counter. Kyung-ho intercepted increasingly frantic communications between the alien ships. Captain, they're discussing emergency protocols and calling for additional reinforcements. But they're also debating whether any amount of conventional force could be effective against our technology. The technological demonstration had achieved its purpose, but perhaps too well. The aliens now understood humanity's overwhelming superiority, and that knowledge was creating its own set of problems. Admiral Zekthari stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Dominator, watching the impossible human vessel through his viewing screen. As a member of the proud Vrexlon warrior caste, he had commanded fleets for over 40 years and never encountered a situation that challenged his understanding of galactic power structures so completely. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, a nervous Plexani named Kivtar. "The fleet has taken defensive positions around the unknown vessel, but our weapons targeting systems cannot get solid locks on their hull." Zekthari growled with frustration. His fleet represented the finest military technology the Kethmar Confederation could deploy. 50 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts and the latest destroyer designs, should be capable of handling any threat. Yet their sensors could barely detect the human ship's defensive systems. "What about their weapons?" he demanded. "We cannot detect any obvious weapon ports or targeting systems. Either they have no weapons, or their technology is so advanced that our sensors cannot identify them." The thought that any species could possess stealth technology superior to Confederation science was deeply troubling. Zekthari had built his career on understanding enemy capabilities and developing counter-strategies. This human ship defied analysis. Aboard the Goliath's Hammer, Tactical Officer Bong-Su monitored the alien fleet's positioning with professional interest. "Captain, they've arranged their ships in a standard intimidation formation. It's designed to demonstrate overwhelming force while maintaining defensive readiness." Hyun-woo studied the tactical display. The alien ships were impressive in their own way, clearly built by experienced military engineers, but compared to human technology, they seemed almost primitive. "Assessment of their combat capabilities?" "Sir, their combined firepower couldn't penetrate our secondary shields. Their weapons appear to be plasma-based, with limited range and relatively low energy output. If we activated our point defense systems, we could disable their entire fleet in under a minute." The disparity was almost embarrassing. Hyun-woo had hoped for a more balanced first contact situation, but it was becoming clear that humanity's rapid technological development had created a massive power imbalance. Through the communication link, Admiral Zekthari was becoming increasingly aggressive. His messages demanded that the humans submit to Confederation authority and explain their presence in controlled space. "Tell the Admiral that we are peaceful explorers," Hyun-woo instructed Ji-hai. "We have no hostile intentions and seek only scientific knowledge and friendly contact." But Zekthari's response was not reassuring. The alien admiral declared that no unauthorized vessels were permitted in Confederation space and that the humans must submit to inspection and escort to a detention facility. "Captain," Ji-hai reported, He's giving us an ultimatum. Submit to their authority or face the consequences. So Young monitored the stress levels aboard both the alien station and the fleet ships. Sir, the biological readings suggest they're working themselves up for combat. Heart rates are elevated, stress hormones are spiking. They're preparing for a fight. Hyunwoo found himself in an impossible situation. The aliens were threatening military action, but their forces were so inferior that any conflict would be completely one-sided. How could he demonstrate humanity's defensive capabilities without seeming aggressive? Intelligence Officer Kyung-ho intercepted communications between the alien ships. Captain, they're discussing attack patterns and target priorities. The Admiral is preparing to open fire if we don't comply with his demands. Weapons status, Hyun-woo asked Dong-hyun. All systems powered down as ordered, sir. But I can have defensive systems online in seconds if needed. The moment of crisis was approaching. Admiral Zekathari was a military commander who understood only strength and submission. His cultural background and training left him no option but to assert dominance over what he perceived as a threat to Confederation authority. Admiral Zekathari is transmitting final demands, Ji-hai reported. He's giving us 60 seconds to submit or face military action. Hyun-woo made his decision. Activate point defense systems only. Target their weapons, not their ships. I want every gun on every ship disabled, but no casualties. Defense Systems Officer Yuna, a quiet woman who rarely spoke during normal operations, suddenly became the most important person on the bridge. Her fingers flew over her controls as she programmed targeting solutions for 50 alien ships. Point defense systems active, she reported. Targeting all weapons on all vessels. Precision strikes only. Their weapons will be disabled, but ships will remain intact. Execute. The Goliath's hammer's point defense grid activated for exactly 37 seconds. Hundreds of precisely targeted energy beams reached out across space, each one calculated to disable alien weapons without causing hull breaches or casualties. To the alien fleet, it appeared as if the human ship had suddenly sprouted thousands of tiny stars. The light show was beautiful and terrifying, each beam of energy representing precision that their finest gunners could never achieve. Within seconds, every plasma cannon, missile launcher, and energy weapon in the entire Confederation fleet simply stopped working. Critical components were destroyed or fused, but no ships were damaged and no lives were lost. Admiral Zekathari stared at his tactical displays in shock. His entire fleet had been disarmed in less than a minute by what the humans had casually described as defensive systems. "Report!" he roared at his tactical officer. "Admiral, all weapons across the fleet have been disabled. The targeting was so precise that they destroyed only the components necessary to prevent firing. Our ships are intact, our crews are unharmed, but we have no offensive capability remaining." The implications hit Zekathari like a physical blow. The human ship had demonstrated the ability to selectively disable any system on any ship in his fleet with perfect precision. If they had wanted to destroy the fleet or kill everyone aboard, they could have done so just as easily. Aboard the monitoring station, Velnathi watched the engagement with growing amazement. Her sensors had detected the point defense activation, but the precision and restraint shown was beyond her understanding. "They could have destroyed the entire fleet," she transmitted to Admiral Zekathari. Instead, they chose to demonstrate mercy and superior capability simultaneously. The alien admiral's worldview was crumbling. Everything he understood about military power and galactic politics had been challenged by a single human ship that treated his finest fleet as a minor inconvenience. Captain Hyun-woo opened communications with the alien fleet. "Admiral Zekathari, We have demonstrated our defensive capabilities. Your weapons have been disabled, but your ships and crews are unharmed. We repeat our desire for peaceful contact and friendly relations. The response took several minutes to arrive. When it came, the tone was completely different from the aggressive demands that had preceded it. Human vessel, Admiral Zekthari transmitted, his voice carrying defeat and awe. We acknowledge your superior capabilities. The Confederation fleet requests instructions. Bong Su monitored the alien fleet's status. Captain, they're maintaining position, but appear to be in complete shock. Their communications suggest they've never encountered anything like this. Sir, added Kyung Ho, I'm intercepting emergency transmissions to Confederation High Command. They're reporting that a single human ship has neutralized an entire battle fleet using defensive systems only. The news was already spreading through alien communication networks. Word of humanity's overwhelming technological superiority would reach every corner of the Confederation within hours. Taimin analyzed the political implications. Captain, this demonstration will change everything. Every species in the Confederation will know that humans possess military capabilities that make conventional resistance impossible. So Young noted changes in the biological readings from all alien vessels. The stress levels are dropping, but I'm detecting what appears to be depression and despair among many crew members. The psychological impact of this encounter may be severe. Hyunwoo realized that his decision to demonstrate human capabilities had achieved its purpose, but at a cost. The aliens now understood that humanity could dominate them militarily, but that knowledge was destroying their confidence and sense of security. Ji-Hai, transmit to Admiral Zekthari. Tell him that humanity seeks peaceful coexistence and has no desire to conquest or domination. We want to establish diplomatic relations based on mutual respect and cooperation. But even as he sent this message, Hyunwoo knew that the balance of power had shifted irrevocably. The aliens would never again see themselves as equals in any negotiation with humanity. The test of strength was over, but its consequences were just beginning. The news of the encounter spread through the Kethmar Confederation's quantum communication network like wildfire. Within hours of Admiral Zekthari's report, emergency sessions were being called on every member world. The simple fact that a single unknown vessel had effortlessly disabled an entire Confederation battle fleet sent shockwaves through established galactic civilization. On the capital world of Velkatar, Supreme Chancellor Nextvorth paced frantically around the emergency council chamber. Representatives from all 12 member species filled the chamber, their various forms of communication creating a chaotic symphony of fear and uncertainty. This cannot be accurate, declared Speaker Yurvan of the Korthani delegation. No single vessel could possess such capabilities. Admiral Zekthari must have encountered some form of weapon we don't understand. But the data was undeniable. Multiple sensor recordings from different ships had captured the same impossible event. The human vessel had demonstrated technologies that exceeded Confederation science by centuries. Aboard the Goliath's hammer, diplomatic officer Sun Hee worked closely with Captain Hyunwoo to craft humanity's message to the broader galactic community. As a specialist in interspecies relations, she understood that their next communication could determine the future of human-alien relations for generations. Captain, she said, studying the political analysis that intelligence officer Kyung Ho had prepared. We need to be very careful about how we present humanity's capabilities. If we appear too powerful, we could trigger a galaxy-wide defensive alliance against us. Hyunwoo nodded. The demonstration against Admiral Zekthari's fleet had been necessary to establish humanity's defensive capabilities, but it had also revealed just how overwhelming their technological advantage truly was. What do you recommend? We should present ourselves as peaceful explorers who happen to possess advanced technology, emphasize our desire for scientific exchange and cultural cooperation rather than political dominance. HFY had been monitoring communications across the Confederation's territory. Captain, the reaction is spreading faster than we anticipated. I'm detecting emergency communications from over 200 star systems. Word of our encounter is reaching species we haven't even met yet. The implications were staggering. Humanity's first contact with galactic civilization was creating political chaos across vast regions of space. Communications specialist Jae Sung, who had been quietly monitoring broader galactic communications, made a disturbing discovery. Sir, I'm detecting communications from another major power, something called the hegemony of ascending suns. They're mobilizing military forces in response to reports of our encounter. This added a new dimension to the crisis. Humanity's demonstration of superior technology was being interpreted as a potential threat by multiple galactic powers simultaneously. Captain, Sun He advised, we need to make a broader announcement to prevent this situation from escalating into galaxy-wide panic. If we don't control the narrative, other species might assume we're planning some form of conquest. Hyun Woo made the decision to reveal more about humanity's true capabilities. Prepare a general transmission to all detected galactic civilizations. We'll tell them about the Terran Republic, our territorial extent, and our peaceful intentions. Sun He worked with HFY to craft a message that would be both reassuring and honest. The challenge was communicating humanity's overwhelming power while emphasizing their peaceful nature. The transmission that went out shocked the galaxy even more than the original military demonstration. Humanity, the message revealed, controlled over 40,000 star systems. Their territory stretched across vast regions of space that galactic civilization had assumed were empty. The Terran Republic maintained a military fleet of over 500 ships, similar to the Goliath's hammer, with the vessel that had encountered. The Confederation being merely an average example of human technology. The response was immediate and dramatic. On Vel-Qatar, the emergency council session dissolved into chaos as representatives realized the true scale of what they were dealing with. Humanity wasn't just a single advanced ship. They represented a galactic superpower that had developed in secret. 40,000 systems? Whispered science advisor Quilin, her ethereal form flickering with distress. That's larger than the Confederation and the hegemony combined. Chancellor Nexavorth struggled to maintain order as delegations began making frantic communications with their home worlds. Some species were already discussing withdrawal from the Confederation, hoping to establish independent relations with humanity. The political upheaval spread rapidly. The hegemony of ascending suns, which had been preparing military responses to the perceived human threat, suddenly found themselves reconsidering their entire strategy. How do you fight an enemy that controls more territory than you knew existed? Smaller. Civilizations that had suffered under the dominance of the major powers saw opportunity in the chaos. The free colonies of Nexus Prime, a group of species that had been oppressed by both the Confederation and the hegemony, immediately began sending diplomatic missions toward human space. Communications. Specialist Jae Sung monitored the galactic response with amazement. Captain, entire trade routes are shutting down. Fleets are retreating to defensive positions around home worlds. Some governments are calling emergency evacuations of border systems. The fear was understandable but misguided. Humanity had no intention of conquest, but their sudden revelation had shattered the existing balance of power that had kept the galaxy stable for millennia. Strategic analyst Min Ho, who had been studying the political implications, provided a sobering assessment. Captain, we've accidentally triggered the collapse of galactic civilization's existing order. The revelation that humans have been expanding through what they considered empty space has invalidated every treaty and border agreement in known space. This wasn't entirely accurate, but it was how the various alien governments were interpreting the situation. Maps that had defined galactic politics for thousands of years were suddenly obsolete. The Stellar Merchant Guild, a powerful economic organization that controlled much of the galaxy's trade, immediately began attempting to establish contact with humanity. Guildmaster Here Devon realized that access to human technology could revolutionize galactic commerce, making traditional economic structures obsolete. "Sir," reported Kyung Ho, "I'm detecting diplomatic missions from over 30 different species heading toward our estimated territorial borders. They're offering everything from trade agreements to military alliances. The offers were increasingly desperate. Some species offered tribute, others promised military service, and a few even suggested complete political integration with the Terran Republic. But perhaps the most significant response came from the oppressed species that had suffered under the major powers' dominance. For them, humanity's overwhelming superiority represented hope for liberation from centuries of subjugation. "Captain," Sun He observed, "we're witnessing the collapse of galactic civilization as these species have known it. Our mere presence has made their traditional power structures obsolete." Hyun Woo watched the chaos unfolding across galactic civilization with growing concern. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel with dreams of exploration and discovery. They had never intended to become galactic overlords, but the universe seemed to be forcing that role upon them. "Sir," called Taemin from his science station, "I'm detecting something else on long-range sensors. Another energy signature, much further out, unlike anything we've encountered so far." This news sent a chill through the bridge crew. If there were other unknown civilizations beyond the current galactic community, humanity's revelation of superior technology might have attracted attention from even more distant powers. Could it be another alien civilization? Possibly. But the energy patterns are completely different from what we've seen so far. This might be something entirely new. As if the current crisis wasn't complex enough, the possibility of additional unknown factors was emerging. Humanity's first contact with galactic civilization was creating ripple effects that extended far beyond their original encounter. The message that was supposed to reassure the galaxy about humanity's peaceful intentions had instead triggered the largest political upheaval in galactic history. The knowledge that humans possessed overwhelming technological superiority was reshaping every aspect of interstellar civilization. And somewhere in the distant darkness, something else was taking notice of the chaos unfolding in known space. Supreme Chancellor Nexavorth stood before the emergency assembly on Velkatar, facing the angry representatives of 12 different species. The grand chamber that had once symbolized Confederation unity now echoed with accusations and demands for his resignation. "You led us into a disaster," roared Representative Grakthul of the Rexvian delegation, his massive form towering over the speaking platform. "Our entire military doctrine is now obsolete because you failed to detect a galactic superpower in our own backyard." Nexvorth's crystalline form flickered with stress patterns. How could we have detected them? Their stealth technology is centuries beyond our capabilities. They could have been watching us for decades without our knowledge. The truth was even more disturbing than he admitted. Intelligence reports suggested that humanity had been expanding through regions of space the Confederation considered empty or unimportant. Thousands of human colonies existed in areas that galactic civilization had never bothered to explore. On the trading world of Nexus Prime, Guildmaster Devon convened an emergency meeting of the Stellar Merchant Guild's leadership. The revelation of human technology had sent shockwaves through galactic commerce that were still reverberating. Traditional trade routes are collapsing, reported his chief analyst, a nervous Plexani named Kivyar. No one wants to commit to long-term contracts when the entire economic structure might change overnight. Devon studied the economic projections with growing excitement despite the chaos. If we can establish exclusive trading rights with humanity, we could control access to their technology. The profits would be enormous, but gaining access to human territory was proving difficult. The Terran Republic had not responded to any diplomatic overtures, leaving galactic civilization to speculate about their intentions and policies. In the military academies of the hegemony of ascending suns, strategists struggled to develop new doctrines for a galaxy where their traditional enemies had been replaced by an overwhelmingly superior power. Admiral Vex Karn of the hegemony's Strategic Command stood before a holographic display showing human territorial estimates. We cannot fight them conventionally. Their single ship disabled an entire Confederation fleet using only defensive systems. His staff officers studied the tactical analysis with growing despair. Every simulation showed the same result: total defeat within hours if humanity chose to use military force. What about alliance with other powers? Suggested Commander Yultar. Which powers? The Confederation is collapsing as member species withdraw to establish independent relations with humanity. Minor civilizations are begging for human protection. Our traditional allies are reconsidering their loyalties. The political upheaval was spreading faster than anyone had anticipated. Species that had been allies for centuries were now competing for human attention, while traditional enemies were finding common ground in their shared obsolescence. On the scientific world of Kethmar Prime, researchers worked frantically to understand the technological principles behind human capabilities. The gravity manipulation and precision FTL travel demonstrated by the human ship suggested scientific breakthroughs that could revolutionize galactic civilization. Chief Scientist Durvan led a team of the galaxy's best researchers in analyzing every piece of data from the encounter. Their mathematics suggest they understand universal forces we haven't even theorized about, he reported to his colleagues. The implications extended beyond military applications. Human technology could solve energy shortages, enable new forms of space travel, and open scientific possibilities that had been considered impossible. But humanity remained silent about sharing their knowledge, leaving galactic civilization to speculate about their intentions. The free colonies of Nexus Prime saw opportunity in the chaos. For centuries, they had suffered under the dominance of the major powers, forced to pay tribute and accept unfavorable trade agreements. Humanity's overwhelming superiority offered hope for liberation. Colonial Administrator Yex Vani sent secret diplomatic missions toward human space, carrying offers of alliance and mutual cooperation. If the humans seek allies rather than subjects, we could finally break free from confederation and hegemony oppression. The missions traveled through space controlled by neither major power, hoping to make contact with human colonies or patrol ships. Each mission carried precious resources and cultural artifacts as gifts, demonstrating the colony's peaceful intentions. But finding humans proved more difficult than expected. Their stealth technology made detection nearly impossible, and their territorial boundaries were unclear. The diplomatic missions wandered through empty space, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. On the military world of Rexalon Prime, Admiral Zekthari faced a tribunal investigating the defeat of his fleet. As the officer who had experienced human capabilities firsthand, his testimony was crucial for understanding what the galaxy now faced. "Honorable judges," he testified, "I have commanded fleets for 40 years. I have fought against every known enemy and technology. What I experienced with the human vessel was beyond anything in our military understanding." The tribunal pressed him for details about human weaponry and defensive systems. But Zekthari could only describe what he had witnessed. Precision beyond measure, power beyond calculation, and technology beyond comprehension. "They disabled our entire fleet in 37 seconds, he repeated. "Not destroyed, disabled. They chose to demonstrate mercy while showing overwhelming superiority. This suggests a level of confidence that comes from possessing vastly superior forces." The testimony spread throughout galactic military circles, reinforcing the growing belief that conventional resistance to humanity was impossible. Smaller species began making their own calculations about survival in the new galactic order. The gentlefolk of Serenity Prime, a peaceful species that had always avoided galactic politics, suddenly found themselves considering diplomatic outreach to humanity. If the major powers collapse, reasoned their philosopher leader Zentari, smaller species will need protection from chaos. The humans appear to prefer peaceful solutions, which aligns with our own values. Similar discussions were occurring on hundreds of worlds as species reconsidered their positions in a galaxy where the old power structures were crumbling. The revelation of human capabilities had created a cascade effect that extended far beyond military considerations. Economic systems, political alliances, territorial boundaries, and technological development programs were all being reconsidered in light of humanity's overwhelming superiority. Some species began research programs aimed at understanding human science, hoping to develop similar capabilities. Others focused on cultural studies, trying to understand human psychology and decision-making processes. A few chose isolation, withdrawing from galactic civilization entirely until the situation stabilized. But perhaps the most significant development was the emergence of a new political movement across multiple species. Pro-human factions began forming in governments throughout known space, advocating for immediate alliance with the Terran Republic regardless of the cost. These factions argued that early alliance with humanity would provide advantages in the new galactic order that was emerging. They promoted human values of scientific advancement and peaceful exploration, contrasting them with the militaristic traditions of the established powers. The movement gained support among younger generations who saw humanity's peaceful approach to overwhelming power as a model for galactic civilization. Traditional leaders struggled to counter arguments that their old ways had failed to prevent the current crisis. As reports continued to arrive from the border regions, the scope of humanity's presence became clearer. They had established research stations, mining operations, and colonies throughout vast regions of space that galactic civilization had considered empty or worthless. The efficiency and speed of human expansion suggested planning and organizational capabilities that matched their technological superiority. They had quietly built a galactic civilization while the established powers remained focused on their traditional territories and conflicts. Now, with their presence revealed, humanity held the power to reshape galactic civilization according to their own values and priorities. The question that kept leaders awake across known space was simple but terrifying. What did humanity want? The answer would determine the future of every species in the galaxy. 1 month after the first contact encounter, Captain Hyun-woo received new orders from Terran Republic Command. The Goliath's hammer was to establish a permanent diplomatic station at the edge of human space, serving as humanity's first official embassy to the broader galactic community. "Sir," reported communications specialist Jae Sung, "we're receiving over 300 diplomatic requests per day. Every major species and dozens of minor civilizations want to establish formal relations with the Terran Republic." The transformation had been remarkable. What began as a routine patrol mission had evolved into humanity's first diplomatic outpost in a galaxy desperate to understand their new neighbors. Medical Officer So Young had transitioned into her new role as cultural liaison, working to establish protocols for the dozens of different species requesting audiences. Her medical background proved invaluable for understanding the biological and psychological needs of various alien visitors. "Captain," she reported during the daily briefing, "we have delegations from the former Confederation species, 3 separate hegemony factions, and representatives from over 40 independent worlds requesting meetings this week alone." The volume of diplomatic activity had required construction of additional facilities. Chief Engineer Woo Jin oversaw the construction of a massive space station adjacent to the Goliath's hammer, designed to accommodate the various environmental needs of different species. "The new diplomatic complex will be completed in 2 weeks," Woo Jin reported. "We're incorporating atmospheric processors for 15 different environmental types, gravity adjustment systems for species ranging from 0.3 to 2.8 standard gravity, and communication systems compatible with every known form of alien technology." The station represented a blend of human engineering efficiency and alien aesthetic preferences. Each section was designed to make visiting species feel comfortable while showcasing human technological capabilities. Former station commander Vel Nathi had become the first alien to receive authorization to visit human space. Her role as cultural exchange ambassador had proven invaluable in bridging the gap between human and alien perspectives. "Captain Hyun-woo," she said during one of their regular meetings, her crystalline form reflecting the lights of the human bridge, "many species are struggling to understand how humanity achieved such rapid technological advancement. They request access to your educational and scientific methodologies." Hyun-woo considered this request carefully. Sharing human knowledge could accelerate galactic civilization's development, but it also raised questions about technological proliferation and potential misuse. What specific areas are they most interested in? "Energy generation, materials science, and computational systems," Vel Nathi replied. "They understand that your gravity manipulation and FTL precision depend on advances in these fundamental areas." The Kethmar Confederation had officially dissolved the previous week, with member species choosing to pursue independent diplomatic relations with humanity. Former Chancellor Nexivorth had requested asylum in human space after being removed from office by his own council. "The political transformation has been faster than anyone anticipated," observed Intelligence Officer Kyung-ho. "Traditional power structures throughout known space are collapsing as species realign themselves around human influence." The hegemony of ascending suns was experiencing similar upheaval. Three of their major member worlds had withdrawn to establish independent relations with humanity, while their military leadership struggled to develop new strategic doctrines for a galaxy where conventional force was obsolete. Diplomatic officer Sun He worked tirelessly to manage the complex negotiations. Emerging from the galactic reorganization, "Sir, we're essentially mediating the creation of an entirely new political order. Species that have been enemies for centuries are now cooperating to gain favorable positions in relation to humanity. The most encouraging development was the emergence of peaceful solutions to conflicts that had persisted for millennia. The free colonies of Nexus Prime had achieved independence from their former oppressors simply by aligning themselves with human principles of self-determination. Captain," reported strategic analyst Minho, "refugee populations from across the galaxy are requesting resettlement in human-controlled space. They see us as offering protection and opportunities that don't exist elsewhere." This created new challenges for human administrators. The Terran Republic had never planned to become a galactic sanctuary, but their overwhelming technological superiority made them the natural choice for species seeking safety from traditional conflicts. Navigation Officer Haiwan had been working with alien representatives to establish safe travel corridors between human and alien territories. "Sir, we're creating a network of protected shipping lanes that will enable peaceful trade and cultural exchange across vast regions of space." The economic implications were staggering. Access to human technology could revolutionize galactic commerce, while alien resources and knowledge could accelerate human scientific development. The Stellar Merchant Guild had finally succeeded in establishing preliminary trade agreements with the Terran Republic. Guildmaster Here Devon arrived aboard the diplomatic station with proposals for technological exchange programs that could benefit all parties. Humans possess manufacturing techniques that could eliminate scarcity of basic resources throughout known space, he explained to Captain Hyun-woo. In exchange, alien knowledge of biological sciences and exotic materials could advance human research by decades. But the most significant change was philosophical. Humanity's peaceful approach to overwhelming power had challenged traditional concepts of galactic dominance. Instead of conquest and subjugation, they offered cooperation and mutual advancement. "Sir," So Young observed, "we're witnessing the emergence of new cultural movements across multiple species. They're adopting human values of scientific advancement, peaceful exploration, and cooperative development. These movements were particularly strong among younger generations who had grown disillusioned with traditional power structures. They saw humanity's rapid advancement as proof that cooperative scientific development could achieve more than military competition." Tai Min, now serving as Chief Scientific Advisor for Diplomatic Relations, coordinated research exchange programs with alien scientists. "Captain, the diversity of alien scientific perspectives is remarkable. Their approaches to problems we've solved differently could lead to breakthrough discoveries. The collaboration was already yielding results. Human computational techniques combined with alien mathematical insights were producing new theoretical frameworks for understanding universal forces." As Captain Hyun-woo stood on the observation deck of the completed diplomatic station, he watched a parade of alien vessels arriving for scheduled meetings. Ships representing dozens of different species docked peacefully at the station, their crews working together on projects that would have been impossible under the old galactic order. The station itself had become a symbol of the new era. Human, technology providing the foundation, but incorporating design elements and cultural preferences from every visiting species. It was a living example of what cooperative development could achieve. "Sir," called Lieutenant G. High from the communications center, "we're receiving a priority transmission from long-range sensors. Remember that unknown energy signature we detected a month ago?" Yun-Woo felt a familiar excitement. "What about it?" "It's gotten closer, and we've established preliminary communication. They identify themselves as the Eternal Archive, apparently a galactic library civilization that's been observing known space for millennia." This news sent a thrill of anticipation through the diplomatic staff. The possibility of contact with an even older and more advanced civilization opened new possibilities for understanding humanity's place in the broader universe. They're requesting permission to approach and share historical records of galactic development spanning millions of years, Ji-Hai continued. They say humanity's rapid advancement represents a significant development in galactic evolution that they want to document. Hyun-Woo smiled as he considered the implications. Humanity had sought the stars with dreams of discovery and exploration. They had never intended to reshape galactic civilization, but their technological advancement and peaceful approach had created opportunities beyond imagination. Grant them permission to approach, he decided, and prepare for another round of first contact protocols. As he watched the stars through the station's observation windows, Hyun-Woo reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. A routine patrol mission had evolved into humanity's introduction to galactic civilization, and that introduction had sparked the largest political and cultural transformation in known galactic history. The future stretched before them, filled with possibilities that no one could have imagined just months earlier. Humanity had found their place among the stars not as conquerors, but as catalysts for a new age of cooperation and discovery. And somewhere in the distance, the unknown signals of the Eternal Archive approached, carrying knowledge and perspectives that would open yet another chapter in humanity's expanding understanding of the universe. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly as it should be.